First, we want to set up the roles or the permissions that a user has to your AdvancedMD Office key. Do you want them to view certain screens, be able to edit, create, or delete certain parts or information in those screens? Go up in the menu, Utilities, down to Role Setup. By default, you'll have a few roles listed over here: the administrator, default user, API. The most important one to me first is the administrator. I'll select it, and then over to the right it'll check most of the boxes. For the administrator, I want to be able to check almost every box in here because I want to have access to create, view, edit, and delete. First of all, you'll see that you have the API. Now, if you have a third-party software that interacts with AdvancedMD, you'll check this Application Program Interface box. If you don't, you'll leave it blank. Scrolling down, check all the boxes, and like I said, there are a few that you don't want to check because they're redundant. For example, here, the review charges, we have review or no review. It's going to be one or the other. And default is usually the review charges for the biller, so after the doctor posts the charges, the biller has a second chance to review them before submitting the claims. Scrolling down a bit further, we also have another one, carriers no review required or review. The default for this one is usually no review. You can check review, but what that means is that anytime somebody enters an insurance carrier into AdvancedMD, somebody else has to go back and approve it before you can do anything with it, like submitting claims. Scroll down, finish checking the rest of the check boxes, and if you have any questions on what you're checking, on your keyboard you can hit the F1 key. When you do that, it'll pull up AdvancedMD's help window, and from there you can scroll down and look under the groups for API, claims, and read a little bit more about those boxes, like the bypass inspector edits. Allows the user to bypass inspector edits in the claim inspector. When you're finished, close out, and then when you're done checking your boxes, be sure to save your work. Next, if you want to set up another role, for example, I have front office staff and I want them to have different access instead of the full administrator, I'll be sure to click my clear button and then down below type in that role name. So this one's going to be front office, and then maybe a little bit of description like. Then over to the right, I'm going to check in whatever is applicable for my front office. First, I'll start down at the bottom, and I would like the front office to make appointments. And then I'll scroll up and say for the demographics, I'd like my front office to create forms, view them, edit them, and delete them. Also for the insurance, patient information, referrals, and responsible party. And again, after you're done viewing this and you've checked all the appropriate boxes for your front office, be sure to save your work. You can see once we save it, it pulls it over to the left-hand side here for later use. So if we need to make any changes to the front office with their privileges, simply highlight it and then check or uncheck the appropriate boxes and be sure to save. If I want to add another role, I want to make sure I click the clear button because I don't want to overwrite my front office. And then I can go down here and type in a new role name, check the appropriate boxes, and then save and click clear and repeat until I have all the roles that I want in AdvancedMD. Once you're finished, the next step would be to assign the user with a login name and a password and tie it to a specific role. To do so, close out, under the Utilities menu, down to User Setup. And you can see here we already have two users with their roles as administrators. To enter in another one, we'll click in the Login field and then type in the first name of the user, hit the Tab key, and then type in the first and last name of the user. Assign it the appropriate role. In this case, Jamie's going to be front office. The checkbox administrator, if you check that, it'll allow Jamie access to the user setup to reset passwords, create additional users, and also give her access to the role setup. We don't want her to have access to that, so we'll simply click Save. Once we click Save, it'll ask us to type in a user's password for Jamie. It has to be at least 6 characters long, and one of the characters has to be a number. You can type in basically any password for Jamie because when she logs in, it'll actually prompt her to reset her password so we can keep things HIPAA compliant. And then once you type in the user's password, click OK. It'll ask you to confirm the password again. Type in the same password, click OK. Now if Jamie forgets her password, and let's say it's been 5 or 6 months later and she forgot it, you can always log back in here as the administrator and click on the reset button. and then it will give you a chance to type in the new password. And you'll note that you can't pull up the old password because she forgot it. Obviously, it's not good for you to have it to keep things HIPAA compliant. So type in the new password and then click OK. In addition, when you log in and you want to change your password, at any time the user after they log in can go up under the Utilities menu down to Change Password and change the password anytime they'd like.